I agree. This is however long it takes for him to get the message that it's about connection. And if all else fails, well then at least do it with your head down, dear. I rather like that. Shoulder in when ready. And he is rather typical quarter horse. I mean, this is for him the collected trot. And the comment would be, it sounds odd, he's a bit quick in front. And you're like, well, it's a collected trot. He's now a little freer in the shoulder. And you see this happening. We talk about wobbly knees, Travers haunches in when ready. Wobbly knees at walk. When they get, think bend, and that's plenty angle. When they begin to push against the ground and push themselves up, oftentimes they will look quicker in front. At any angle, limb deviation will begin to show weird stuff sometimes. And now shoulder in again.
So, is that, that's not correctable? I mean, this is not a...
It's not a bad thing.
Okay.
You get a comment of a quick tempo. It's really not a quick tempo. It's much more, I'm not going to call it hackney pony, but we think of it as hackney pony when the knees come high.
Yeah.
Well, he's off the forehand. His knee can't actually come up now. As opposed to a quarter horse shuffle sort of thing. And he's clearing the ground with his back feet most of the time. Center line, good boy. So we go through the prerequisites of, is it collected trot? Well, do we see any correct muscles in the neck? Yes, occasionally we do. Half pass left when ready. Is it active? That is, do the back legs drag in the ground? No, they don't drag in the ground. It is active. This is just tricky not to have the haunches lead. Watch your right foot being so far back. I think we've talked about that right foot before. Yeah. Shoulder in down the rail. Is there a connection in the sense of, is it, in a headset, is it just arching its neck but not allowing the right of communication? No, he allows you communication. 10-meter circle when ready. Is there a vastly different quality of trot between the lateral movement and the circle? And the answer is, no, it's about the same, actually. Now, ride that circle again, and just for the sake of argument, ride it with absolute alignment. Don't bend. In other words, get his left shoulder up under his body. Don't bend the neck and say, this will have to be a polygon because there's no other way to get around a figure. Yep. And now go back and bend it again, for want of a better word. So you say, I must allow the left ear to reach forward into the right flexion now. And then on your next small circle, ride it as a polygon again in absolute alignment. Now I'm going to put hind leg underneath tummy and left shoulder to the middle of chest, and we're not going to pop the shoulder. Yep. Because that's a bit tricky still on the left shoulder, yes? It always has been. And now straight down the rail. But it can't totally be controlled with left rein. That would be too easy. Yep. Long side, Ronbert, tail to the rail, nose to the rail, shoulders in, sit for left bend yourself. Good boy. Now envision Ronbert on a 10-meter circle. Putter off on your 10-meter circle and ride Ronbert. Because there's no way that left forefoot's going to step left now. Good. Uh-huh. Tricky on the contact on the right rein, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that is your outside rein now.
Yes.
Now, can you keep the alignment of hips and shoulders the same and allow the neck straight to right? Not much right. So your legs are going to have to stay cattywampus, your seat's going to have to stay cattywampus, and you're going to say, you may now make a hint of a right eyeball. But I'm going to keep the shoulders and haunches doing this odd thing. It's a bit unfair in that it's a bend and a bend. Two different bends. Now, good boy. Good. All right, trot walk transition. And then let him rest for a second. All right. As peculiar as that was to ride, and as weird because you had like left bend through body and maybe straight to right bend in neck, it's one of the better left-hand figures I've seen him do.
The quality of the trot felt better?
It was much, maybe we have a word taller in the withers or something. I don't know, connected, I don't know. Tricky, though, because it was hard to get a connection on the right rein. So the reason I had you ride your 10-meter circles normal positioned and then absolute alignment, which wasn't quite achievable, was to see if he could change the relative position of shoulder and haunches, you trick him, and get him to push off the ground differently. Well, it took Ron there to get there. But then he began to push off the ground differently, and you're like, ooh, that's what my collective trot's supposed to do.
Right.
But we had to take it to quite an extreme. And then you say, well, I hope I don't have to sit like this, like a monkey all the time, because I had to do some pretty weird stuff.
Right.
But he was trickable.
Right. So
That's a big deal.
Switching my mind's eye of an I'm going to ride along there
Mm-hmm.
on a 10-meter circle, and then I'm going to ride along there with correct bend, essentially. Sort of.
You had a Ron Bear. Oh, you're not. Yeah.
I mean, it might. So
You're going to ride
my leg and
a darn little right bend. How's that?
Okay.
So I think part of it was the rearrangement of the alignment of the shoulders and the haunches, which took Ron Bear to get accomplished.
Okay.
And then you say, if I choose to keep that left foreleg in the middle of your chest and the right hind leg in the middle of your tummy, carefully. Is that right? I'm like, yeah. How are you going to deal with that? And he's like, I don't know, but somebody moved where the ground was.
Right.
That was a good thing.
Yeah.
But he's always been, because he goes off and he just does it, and you're like, well, I'd like some say in how you do it. No. I did it. You're like, I want to talk to you. Nope. Good boy. All right, pick it up again. So, I think, for want of a better word, your legs control what happened where the placement of the hindquarters was, and your reins have to control what happens to the shoulders, perhaps. Put him down the rail, head off on 10 or 15 meters at trot, and without actually,
I wasn't ready for
you weren't ready for that, without actually doing Ronvert, see if, because this horse has done circles for years and years and years and years, see if you can trick him on a right-hand 10 or 15 meter circle into getting that feel where he pushed against the ground and pushed up, and then you see how much of a right flexion, or well, I don't know if you get right bend, you can get before it goes flat. And you'll feel the difference if you can get the, and I think of it as probably bringing the shoulders over the top of the right rear. I don't want to push the rump out, per se, beyond the circle, because then he won't have any leg to hold him up. He just got better again. Do you feel it? And then you say, now, how do I make this, because it looks like absolute alignment. It doesn't look like you're bent left or bent right. It looks absolutely straight, which is what we're looking for, yes? Now, how do I make this, how do I make people think I'm actually doing a right circle? Well, that would be probably riding, in your mind, at least absolute alignment, or whatever you're Ronvert, whatever you're riding, from the midpoint of his neck back to his tail, and faking out a right flexion by pushing the left ear forward, at which point he will immediately pop his left shoulder, and you're like, oh, I just need 2 hands and 4 legs here. I can get this done. This is good trot, yes? Very good quality. Hopefully not because he's hanging on a rein. Super. It's, and you can tell because of the, I don't know if you want to call it manufactured balance or manufactured gait, the improvement in the gait. And go left now, reverse, go the other direction. Let's see what he does. So, yay, he has the ability to push against the ground and push himself up if he hasn't retracted his pole horribly or gone off and done weird stuff. Yep, and good on your bounce, too. And then we always like to say, well, it'll be just the same correction this direction. And you're like, yeah, wouldn't that be easy? Don't count on it, though. 10-meter circle when ready. So you ride it as you normally would with left flexion and whatever else you can think of. As soon as he finishes pooping, we'll be able to see what he's actually going to do. Good boy. The second half of the circle was a bit trickier because he actually bulged his right shoulder right hair too much for the for the up thrust alignment, or whatever we want to call this, the ability for him to push against the ground, tighten his pecs, lift his shoulder girdle. So you may have to think, okay, I'm going to do renvers. I mean, I can do renvers, and then I can undo the renvers a little bit. But you may actually have to go all the way to renvers again for him to go, whoa, somebody just changed the puppet strings here. And it may be that if he goes all the way to renvers, he'll go, oh goody, I can fall in left shoulder again. Because we know his history. He likes his left shoulder. In which case you have to say, well, then not quite that much, dear. Well, better moments, yes? Yep. Good boy. And still see neck muscles. Good boy. Looks like a normal left circle. You and I both know you're doing lots of other stuff, yes?
Yeah.
Good boy. Now, will he do a rising trot stretchy circle?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's give it a try, because that's a lot of compression for him. I think that feels good now, Mom. Oop, can't trot, but it feels good.
Kick myself in the nose.
Good boy. It's supposed to feel good, you tell him. Some horses like this, and then pick him up together again. Good boy. And also we do that to keep the length or the stretch of the musculature that we'll need for medium and extension. It's all good and well that we can stand him up on a different set of puppet strings, but we still have to go, yeah, but there's also length. Yep, take him down alongside. And someday all the trots will match. All right, 3-loop serpentine with the Verena trot, doing, if necessary, whatever version of renvers you need, or don't need. Don't do it then. Go by, is it, and it's a different feeling. Is it taller in the withers? Is it more deliberate? Is it, I always think when it's right, it feels like there's like a helium balloon between his front legs holding his chest up or something. I don't know. I have all these different, depending on the horse. Donzi's at least not dragging me into the subsurface with his withers then. Shoulder in down the rail. I don't care if it looks like a shoulder in. I care that he keeps the same balance. I guess balance is the best word. So it may not bend at all. It may do renvers. What it has to do is it has to push against the ground with its shoulder girdle and prop its withers up. Yes. Perfectly adequate, yes? Diagonal towards the medium.